Hopefully everybody out there is doing well this morning. It's Tom Dimitrovich here, and today is Tech Thursday. So I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that today at 5 o'clock p.m., we will be shifting up we're going to continue our modernization week today. We are shifting up the program because we're moving what we were going to talk about on Friday, which was the protective systems, partial discharge, and remote monitoring services. And we're moving that to today. So you're going to want to get involved and get online and participate in our 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern time session today on modernization. We got a great lineup of individuals. I think we're going to have we might have 4 guests. I'm not sure. I gotta look to see who's on that meeting invite, but we're gonna have a good lineup of individuals today talking about modernization. So you're gonna want to check it out. And hopefully you checked out the Monday session, which was an overview of modernization. Tuesday, we talked about, what did we talk about on Tuesday? Tuesday, we hit, that's what it was. When you think about the concept of modernization, on Monday, we did a switchgear overview. On Tuesday, we did the retrofit, retrofills. I would categorize Tuesday as taking that big gray box, like what we got here, leaving the structure in place, but changing all of the components out inside. So putting displays on, taking analog devices, making them digital devices, basically modernizing this equipment so that when you look at it from the outside, it looks like a brand new piece of equipment, yet the box, the bus, and everything that's inside existed in that facility. And what we did, what the owner decided to do from for maintenance or reliability perspective was basically take all of these components, retrofilled or retrofitted or what do you call it? Basically put a new breaker that's built for that equipment in that equipment, or modified the equipment to accept a new breaker. That was our discussion on Tuesday. So Monday was an overview. I would highly recommend you to go take a look at that. Tuesday was, let's take this existing equipment and put new devices in there, modernize it. You got displays, you can add new breakers, things of that nature. The yesterday's event, was a discussion of, let's take a circuit breaker, a power circuit breaker, or a medium voltage circuit breaker. We're going to take it down to all of its parts and pieces, all the ways down to the frame, every nut and bolt and bushing and whatever, off of that device, and rebuild it. And I think the analogy of looking at some of these, taking an old car or an old vehicle, taking it down to the frame, sending the frame out to paint, sending the body out to paint, and then getting a new engine, putting an engine in there, or taking the existing engine, taking everything off of it, rebore it, and get it all back up and running again. And then you end up with a 1950 Chevy or a 1940 F1 Ford pickup truck, and you've got it like it rolled off the showroom floor. That was our discussion yesterday, which was intriguing to see exactly what goes into rebuilding a power circuit breaker and the extent of what you can rebuild, which was a great discussion. And I would highly recommend you watching that one, because here's the thing. You may not be an individual who's actually going to do the reconditioning or refurbishing, but understanding the process, understanding the time that it takes, and the planning, And there was a good question during that session that said, hey, that individual had a circuit breaker example at one point where it wouldn't close in, it wouldn't hold. And we can only ascertain that it's probably holding those contacts closed that he was talking about. And he said he added grease in it and it worked. We rely on overcurrent protective devices for arc flash reduction. We rely on overcurrent protective devices for the safety of our electrical workers. In addition to equipment protection, conductor protection, what it's there for. So making sure those products are going to perform when they need to perform is critical. So maintenance is an important part of the pie. Continued maintenance, condition of maintenance is very important when you're applying 70E or 70B for maintenance. 70B is the document, and we're right in mid-cycle to take 70B from a you could and you should and you might want to consider type of document to a standard, a you shall document. So it's going from a guide to a standard, and that's a big leap for that document. And I think it's a big change for our electrical industry. So it emphasizes the importance for the electrical worker to understand the performance of the overcurrent device, the performance of everything in this big gray box that's behind me is important for safety of the electrical worker. So our discussion this week, I think, is a very critical and important part, whether you are a design engineer, whether you are a facility owner or electrical inspector or electrical contractor, electrician. This is an important discussion to understand, and listening to the dialogue, and understanding what goes in the process. So if you have an overcurrent protective device, what are your options? If you have a big gray box like this in your facility down in the basement that hasn't seen a lot of love over the years with regard to maintenance, what are your options? You may look at a piece of equipment like this and say, oh my gosh, if I had to replace that, it would take a lot of money, a lot of time. And in my opinion, Tamaki, if we understand what you can do, because I never really thought myself that I could take a low voltage assembly, leave the big gray box there, don't change the bus, clean it, get everything out, and then repopulate it with all new state-of-the-art devices that operate faster, that have better trip curves, that have communicating trip units, that I can put displays like this, or I could, if I wanted to, tie it to my phone and control that equipment remotely or get data from that equipment remotely. I would have never thought that would be possible. And it is. And I learn something every day. So we had a great discussion this week, and we're going to continue that discussion today. Today will be our last day, and then we're going to plan for the controls, the control panel portion of it later. Looking forward to joining today's professional conversation. Yeah, so we're going to have Tamaki, I think this is the Internet of Things is infiltrating its way into these big gray boxes that were built back in the 60s and 70s and 80s and earlier. We can do a lot with existing equipment. So as a design engineer, as a professional, as an electrical professional, I think it's really important to understand what our options are. It's just like anything. You want to know your options. I can buy brand new breakers and put it in this equipment. It doesn't have, if it's a Square D piece of equipment, a Siemens piece of equipment, a GE piece of equipment, an old GE piece of equipment, newer, I can retrofit and I can retrofill. I can do things to get all of my overcurrent devices consistent. And it's just a matter of getting the right options on the table and understand what are my options and then make an educated decision. Educated decisions are what we're all about. And it's important for safety. So I try to wrap safety around all this. So today's session, Modernization Week continues. Protective systems, partial discharge, and remote monitoring services. I'm in the process right now of updating this. That's why I pressed this button to go live just to say, hey, this is what's going on today. Tomorrow is Q&A Friday. I am going to do a Q&A Friday tomorrow at noon, but we won't have a 5 o'clock session tomorrow at noon, or tomorrow, 5 o'clock session tomorrow Eastern. I'm going to talk about Q&A. I've got a couple of, one just came up today. I found in my email on selective coordination, and I'm going to try to answer that question, which deals with the definition and talks about 0.1 versus 0.01 seconds, or the time zero discussion on selective coordination. If you've ever heard anybody say, I selectively coordinate to the time zero, you're going to learn tomorrow at lunch why that is an erroneous statement, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. All right, so that's the lineup today, 5 o'clock p.m. Check it out. And I am right now in the process of updating the. Here, I'll just show you what I'm doing. I'll show you what I'm doing. So this is my, this is where I have the modernization, and I have September scheduled for September 3rd at 5 o'clock. And what's today, the 2nd? I'm going to move this to September 2nd at 5 o'clock p.m. I'm going to hit save. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going back to my studio. I'm going to go back to my live streams. Jeez. This is getting, I never realized I had that many. Go back to my live streams, and I'm going to the one that says panel shop. And I'm going to edit this one. Whoops. Jeez, oh man. There it is. I'm going to edit this one, and I am going to change its status because we are going to make this private for now, or unlisted. Private. Done. And I'm going to hit save. So now the Modernization Week for Panel Shop is now private. So I won't be doing that one on Friday, but I will be doing protective systems, partial discharge. If you don't know what partial discharge is, you're going to want to tune in for this one, because there's a lot of things that we can do from a predictive perspective. So the partial discharge discussion is going to be interesting. And then remote monitoring services. Remote monitoring is yet another important piece of the pie. So tune in for that today at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern, and I look forward to seeing you all on online this afternoon. So we're going to have a good crew. I think we're going to have about 5 guys talking today at 5. All right. Take care. I'm going to sign off. Take care. Stay safe. And please stay healthy. Talk to you at 5 o'clock p.m. today.